guests, welcome to the event Days of Innovation 2018, which is co-organized by the Technical University of Crete, Chania Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Department of Western Crete of the Technical Chamber of Greece. The event is also supported by the regional unit of Chania. It's a great pleasure to welcome our respectable guest, Mrs. Elizabeth Loth, Deputy Head of the Royal Norwegian Embassy in Athens, and Professor Martin Gerdes and Mr. Dimitri Yakovenko from the University of Agder. Director of the Technical University of Crete, Professor Ivan Diamandopoulos, will now address the first welcome speech.
Our dear Norwegian guests and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone here. This is a very important event because this event is between the Technical University of Crete and the University of Agder, and we hope that this will continue in the future and materialize a much bigger cooperation, not only with this university, but with other Norwegian universities. It is also very important that the theme of this workshop today is also very important for us. In the Greek university system, we as professors have been conditioned to think in terms of teaching and in terms of research. In other words, we advance our careers by writing research and publishing research papers. This is no longer enough. We have to do more. And what we have to do is we have to take all these research ideas and research results and convert them into marketable product and marketable services. This is what innovation is all about. And this is a rather very new concept here in Greece. In the past there were some efforts, but these efforts were not successful. And I mean efforts in our country. Most of the money went into infrastructures, but they did not produce results that helped our economy. Now we have a new opportunity, and there are a lot of funds that we hope will be available to the researchers, to the people of ideas, and in this respect, the Technical University of Crete is committed to promoting the idea of innovation, and this is a very welcome event, and we hope to have a lot more events. On campus, we had several events in the past. We started about a year and a half ago, and we have also created this structure which we call tuc Innovation House. We're still in the beginning. I'm pretty sure that all the professors at the university will be committed to this purpose, and we hope with our international colleagues from Norway and from other European countries, we're going to have very successful results. I welcome you again, and I look forward to hearing all the presentations today.
Mrs. Elizabeth Loth, Deputy Head of the Norwegian Embassy in Athens, will give a short address.
Kalispera. Thank you for inviting me to be here at this very exciting event today. On behalf of the Embassy of Norway, we are very happy to see that the EA funding that Norway and other donors provide have helped two of our excellent institutions that really focus on research and innovation join up and hopefully initiate a collaboration that will also move into the future. This kind of bilateral relationship between Norway and Greece is one of the key objectives of these grants. And we're very excited to hear all the presentations today to see what the potential areas that you are looking into are. As the director just said, entrepreneurship innovation is really a very hot topic right now. In Norway, we see this as one of the core elements as we try to move away from oil-dependent economy towards a more green and diverse economy. For Greece as well, as you're turning a page in the economic situation, this will have to be the core focus. I think it's very exciting to see how the university focuses on bringing research into the commercial world, because this is, we strongly believe this is what will give a competitive advantage in moving forward. We are just going into a new period of these grants and hope they can provide opportunities for strengthening this collaboration. Beyond the research, the potential for research collaboration, I also want to mention that we now have a new program in innovation and business development. This is the first time the grants have such a program in Greece, so I would also urge you to look into if that can provide any opportunities as you move towards your spin-offs and commercializing the products from this university. I look forward to seeing the event today, and should you have any questions on how we might be able to support as we move forward, don't be afraid to approach me. Thank you and good luck.
Mr. Spiros Sofianos, President of the Department of Western Crete of the Technical Chamber of Greece, will now address the welcome speech.
Mr. Vice Mayor, esteemed professors, dear colleagues and future colleagues, as I can see. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Technical Chamber of Greece, the Department of Western Crete, I would like to welcome you to this very important meeting, which is being implemented in the framework of cooperation between the Technical University of Crete and the University of Agder, Norway, aiming at promoting entrepreneurship and innovation in research and technology. The aforementioned foundations, through their cooperation, seem to have implemented a relatively simple but very substantial idea. They have linked higher education to research and innovation by trying to develop a network of universities, research institutions and businesses with a common pattern of action, aiming to facilitate the transition from concept to product and from laboratory to consumer. Today, innovation seems to be an important key in the survival, growth and competitiveness of businesses worldwide. It plays a crucial role in all businesses as it holds the potential to gain competitive advantages over rivals. In Greece, over the last decade, and especially in the aftermath of the financial crisis, the need to develop business activity and enhance competitiveness is a problem of increased gravity. In improving the economic climate and creating value for business, R&D, research and development, can play a key role as it is the driving force behind the country's economic development. In this country, a more integrated and driven policy is needed today, using innovation efforts to develop its capabilities. In order for companies to be competitive on both domestic and foreign markets, they need to be more innovative. Due to the lack of capital for business investors, they should work with universities and research institutes to develop new products or production methods, using new methods to promote their products, packaging, etc. Greek educational and research institutions are an exceptionally good choice for both public and private businesses, given the fact that they have well-qualified staff, a technical infrastructure, and collaborations with universities, institutions, and research centers abroad. With the anticipation of positive reforms, therefore, I wish you every success and good continuity in your workshops. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ilias Kyriakopoulos will address a welcome speech on behalf of Mr. Antonios Lokakis, President of Chania Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear professors and guests. I welcome you in our town and especially in Chania Chamber of Commerce and Industry today's event. The reason we are here today is important enough for modern business, so as for our society. Innovation, an idea concerning evolution, progress, and the transition from the past to the future. Unfortunately, our country is lagging behind in several aspects of innovation, although in recent years, a significant improvement has been taking place. Bureaucracy and they create state funding for research and development prevent rapid development of our country concerning the innovation sector, in addition with other European countries. However, the basic problem and the main concern is not the idea itself, but the practical application of it. Higher education is not higher education institutions are creative matrices for research. On the other hand, the Chamber's Commerce and Industry, as the ultimate body of entrepreneurship, must be the channel that will connect the innovative idea to industry and business in general. And this role we are ready to undertake and complete. Let's start making our own success story. Thank you all.
Professor Nikolaos Nikolaidis, the scientific coordinator of the collaboration between Technical University of Crete and the University of Agder, will address a welcome speech.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. This is quite a great moment for me, trying to bring this project, this bilateral agreement into a conclusion with this event. It has been a very nice experience to try to work on a bilateral agreement. I mean, obviously, throughout these years, I have worked in many countries with many projects and so forth, and all the times you learn something. As I see it, Europe is changing. From the past, it was extremely important for European projects to have a balance among the countries, especially the countries, the old communist countries and so forth. Now, we are talking about only clusters of excellence. So it is extremely important to be able to place the Technical University of Crete into this group of the clusters of excellence and make this strategic alliances that will act complementary, and we will be able to be significant players in the next decade in 2030. 2020 is almost gone. We have been successful in 2020, but 2030 is the new challenge. And when we are talking about the new challenge, that means, and this is what we have understood with the financial crisis, is that we need to create new business. We need to create not fake money, but real money. That means innovation. That means technology. That's where all of the money from the European Union comes. And of course, we are in a country where the industry, we don't have much industry. In contrast with what we see in Norway, where the industry is helping actively significant amount of money into the universities, and they build alliances in order to create this new state of knowledge. To me, it was extremely important to learn from these bilateral exchanges. Greece has to learn from Norway and how Norway has handled a lot of things, especially in the case of oil exploration. It was interesting to have all of these discussions the last day, a few days, where what you see is that both UK and Norway found oil at the same time. But what did UK do and what Norway. UK gave back tax returns to people, while Norway has established this trust, where they are using this trust for all of the revenue from the oil for the next generation. Maybe we will be happy we get oil in the Cretan. What are we going to do with it? It's important to send some of our elected officials to Norway, and they kind of give them some lectures, learn them how we should be doing and how we should be involved. Of course, the most important thing as part of this is the creation of new friendships. Of course, we have new friends here, and I want to thank you for coming. And we are building these friendships and collaborations, and I think that this is extremely important. I think that we don't have a choice. I mean, we need to really move into the area of innovation, technology, entrepreneurship. This is a one-way street. We have to make these collaborations, and we have to make sure that we do it the most efficient ways. I'm looking forward to the talks of all of the speakers today, and again I want to thank you for coming here. Thank you. One of the things that we developed as part of this EEA grant is a video where we want to showcase the innovation and technology at the Technical University of Crete. So I want to spend a few minutes, it's about 7 minutes long video, where you can see a lot of the facilities that we have at the university. And when you start seeing it in the video, you realize that our facilities are quite impressive. So, and they are actually. Thank you.
is an assistant director at the Division of Research Management at the University of Agder. The title of his presentation is Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the University of Agder.
Yes, can you hear me from here? Yeah. Okay, I'll use my normal voice that I use at home when the kids are not coming home. Good afternoon, my name is Dimitri. I answer both of those names. I'm originally from Ukraine, and assistant director is, I don't know where you know this. I'm head of international affairs. This is my position. But thank you for calling me assistant director of the research management. From Norway? Okay. I work with international affairs. This is my position. My task today is to tell you a little bit about our university, a little bit about our innovation labs and what we do in terms of entrepreneurship and commercializing of the ideas. But before we go to our university, I'll probably do like this. Before we go to our university, I want to show you just a couple of slides about the Norwegian system of higher education so that you know what are we talking about and what does it mean university in Norway. So we have 8 national universities and 21 university colleges as of today. This is the 2-level system in Norway. The difference between the university college and the national university is that the university is self-accrediting. It means that we are allowed to create any master programs that we want and accredit them ourselves. If you are a university college, you need to get accreditation from the ministry. And to get a status of national university, you need to have at least 4 PhD programs. So in 2007, when we got 4 PhD programs in 4 different directions, we got approval as a status of national university. We have approximately 200,000 students in the whole country, and the majority of our educational institutions are state-run. There are only a few private schools with the minority of the students. As a rule, we are one of the 2 or 3 remaining countries in Europe where we don't have tuition fees. Our students, they pay approximately €100 per semester, and it is a membership fee for a student union, and there's also something that is called copyright fee. This copyright fee allows them to copy some pages of their books, so you are allowed to copy up to 20% of your book, or 15 to 20% of the book. And this is the copyright fee, that is approximately €100 per semester, and that's all. We don't have tuition fees. And we don't have tuition fees for foreign students either. There was a discussion in our country a couple of years ago whether we were doing this, implementing the fees as Swedish universities did. In Sweden, it resulted in a huge drop of foreign students. We didn't implement it still, so there are no fees. What is another thing that is interesting, that 25% of the population has an education, higher education, at university or university college level. In recent trends, we see that almost in every branch you are required to have a master's degree. No matter what you're doing, the first requirement is master or similar. So in many cases, bachelor is not enough. We are a Bologna country. It means that we have a standard education level of 3 years bachelor, 2 years master, and 3 years PhD. When it comes to we're also a part of European credit transfer system. That it means that we have standardized grades from A to F. A is the best, F is failed, and then or many of our universities have transferred their courses in the ECTS system. It means that we are easily comparable with each other, with all the other universities that have the same grading systems. We are one of the 2 universities in Norway that has something that is called ECTS label. It means that all of our courses taught in English or in Norwegian language at our university, they are transferred to ECTS grades. Some 2 universities who have this. And we also have the DS label, it means diploma supplement label. It means that we give the diploma supplement of a European standard at our university. So if we just go directly to our university, this is our country. We are in the north. It's a long country. South? No, Norway is in the north. We're in the south of Norway. Don't mess up. For you to imagine the pointer, yeah. Okay. Rule number 1. Don't step there. From here, and the southernmost point, to here, to the northernmost point, it's 2.5 hours flight time with a 737. So it's huge distance. But here, in this thinnest part of Norway, the thickness of the country is 6.5 kilometers. So here is the sea, 6.5 kilometers, here is Sweden. So the country is sparsely populated. We have just above 5 million people living here. And the density of population, I think, is 5 times less than the density of population on Crete. And we are the southernmost university. We're located in the city of Kristiansand, just between Stavanger and capital Oslo, approximately 400 kilometers to Oslo, 300 to Stavanger, so in the middle of the country. And we have 2 campuses. The one is in Kristiansand with approximately 85,000–90,000 people, and the second one is Grimstad. Martin will tell probably a couple of words more about Grimstad, with a city of 20–25,000 people. And the Faculty of Technology and Science is engineering and science is very large in the second campus. 45 kilometers between our campuses. Still, we have 2 different cultures. It's difficult to run 2 campuses that are in distance from each other. It's one university, one administration, but the culture is different, the cities are different, the cities are different, so we have our struggles. And I don't know where it's not going next. Okay, let's see once again. As of today, we have 13,000 students, so 9.5 in Kristiansand and 3.5 in Grimstad, 1,400 employees, and our budget that we receive from the Ministry of Education and Research in Norway is 1.4 billion Norwegian kroner. So if you divide it by 10, you will receive it in euros. So it is 140 million euros, the annual budget of our university. We have more than 100 Bachelor of Science, Master of Science and PhD programs, and we are a research-based university. And this is another major difference between university and university college in Norway. We are going from the teaching tradition into a new, more research-oriented tradition, and from research tradition we go to commercialization of ideas tradition. So, wide range of different subjects. We are not technical university, we are a classical university with, as you can see, there are 43 bachelor programs. We have many courses taught in English, approximately 90 courses taught in English out of 600. So it's 15% of our courses are given in English. And even if there is only one student that speaks English, the course will be run in English. And there are faculties who are stronger in this, and there are faculties who are a little bit weaker in this, but engineering and science, I think, is the leading faculty in terms of teaching in English. And we are the 5th largest university in Norway as of today. 6 faculties, as I mentioned. We are almost classical university, from engineering and science to fine arts. Teacher education unit is kind of interesting because it is organized interdisciplinary. We don't have a faculty of teacher education, so they only have students, but the teachers, they pick up from other faculties to their programs. And this is a matrix organization of teacher education. It's also unique in Norway, and we've been working on it for many years to get it on good track. School of Business and Law is AAA accredited, ACSB accredited. School of Business and Law is getting its name, building its capacity as well. Many international researchers have many good programs as well. Faculty of Humanities in Education is important in terms of Norwegian language and Norwegian history, and also foreign language studies. Health and Sports Sciences, again, Martin will probably mention a little bit about it. Important with many international contacts, with support from Olympic top program in Norway. So, and we are focusing a lot on the sports traumas and rehabilitation after the sports traumas. So each of the faculty has their own perks. Fine arts, we have one of the largest departments of modern popular music. With modern rock musicians, of Norwegian rock musicians, they have their education from our university. So even the rock musicians, they are masters already, bachelors and masters. We were created in '94 as a university college. We merged 6 regional colleges, and then we were working 13 years in order to get the status of national university. But the first teaching school It opened in 1839, so we're kind of a young, old kind of university with the traditions. And 1st September 2007, we've got the status of national university. When it comes to research, there are only a few areas that I have listed on the slide. I think the topics that we can discuss further with the Technical University of Crete, those are listed in red. First of all, the e-health and healthcare technology, the integrated emergency management is extremely important for us. Mechatronics, multimodality and cultural change, renewable energy. So this is just an example of what we are doing, just to show you the picture. And if you see our focus on PhD area, so everything from literary science to mobile communication systems, so it's a wide spectrum, so almost everyone can find something that is interesting for him. Student exchange is also important for us. 400 students we send every year abroad. We receive 250 students each year. We have 200 agreements. We have 600 partners in 80 countries. But when we talk about university partnerships, we always need to remember that it doesn't mean that we have everything with each of these partners. We send students to some of the partners. We receive students from another partners. We write grant applications with a third group of partners. But altogether, we have partners in 80 countries all around the world. And all of our students are able to go abroad, at least for one semester, or if they are in health and sports sciences, they're going for practice. They were, a couple of years ago, we were basically sending the students to Crete for practice from the nursing school. So they were going here for a 3 months practice. Then a couple of words about our innovation and entrepreneurship ideas and goals. There is a Norwegian system for centers of excellence. It's a national label. It means that you are lifted up on the governmental level. It means that you are getting national financing, the secured national financing for 5, 7, 8 years. And it means that you are allowed to do research within this topic without thinking of financing, but generating new knowledge throughout the period of your financing. And after the national financing finishes, then you are supposed to be sustainable by yourself. You are supposed to generate enough programs and enough income to be on your own. But in the very beginning, if your group of researchers is strong with a lot of publications, with a lot of prospects, with a lot of good ideas, then you can apply to get this Center of Excellence label. We've got it 2.5 years ago in 2015 in offshore mechatronics. And this is part of private-public partnership. We have many, as you can see, many classic suppliers in the oil and gas industry. They are working together with our professors, they are working together with our students, they are coming with the tasks and say, okay, do you have good PhD students that can take this case for us? For Jacobs or something like this, or Reaches? Yes, of course. Okay, do it. And we run it through the center, so it means that it is co-financed PhD. It means that the researcher will be bought out in order to do his research for 20% of his time or 30% of his time. But then they also have the strict rules that they need to deliver to the companies, because you know how it is with private business. They give you the money, they give you the task, but on the day of deadline they will come and ask again, how are you going, where are the results? The budget of the Center of Excellence for Offshore Mechatronics is 200 million Norwegian kroner, it's 20 million euros. And they are up and running. Right now it's almost halfway, so it's still, they have 5 years to develop, to continue to develop their projects. And but the feedback so far is very good, that they are able to attract more foreign researchers, they are able to attract more projects. So we are very, very positive about the future of this center. Just a couple of words and a very short video about our Faculty of Engineering and Science, so that you can imagine what we are doing and what our students are doing. So let's see. Where's Firefox? Coming. type of robot you just saw on the previous presentation, so we definitely need to talk.
The same guy.
The same kind. No, the color is different. Yours is blue, I think. Ours is red. Yeah. So this is Mechatronics Innovation Lab. A couple of years ago, there was a huge discussion in Norway about the innovation in the field of mechatronics. Everybody was talking about this, and our rector came with the idea, okay, we need to do something with it while there is an opportunity to get some funding for this. So a couple of years ago, we started this project. We applied to the government to create a mechatronics innovation lab. It's a public-private partnership in cooperation with a huge investor in the southern Norway and in cooperation with other companies. We secured the funding through the national budget. The next year, the priority was taken away from the budget. So we were very lucky with the timing. Now it will be probably impossible to get the financing for the same idea because there are other priorities, but we were at the right time at the right point of time. It's a world-leading center for innovation. It's a pilot testing place. It's a technology qualification in mechatronics and within mechatronics and related fields. So it's basically it's a huge hall. It's a big hall. I will show you the picture with a lot of stations where the students, professors, and companies together can check and test the innovations, the innovative ideas within the field of their interest. And they call it the Mechatronics Innovation Lab. And it is not a competition against existing companies. No, it's a cooperation with existing companies. So they can use our forces, they can use our students, they can use our researchers, create new knowledge. We will benefit as an educational institution because our goal is to create knowledge. They will benefit because they will develop a solution for their company. And the whole country will benefit because we educate new, young engineers that receive top-notch knowledge within their field. So this is just an example of what we can do in this Mechatronics Innovation Lab, from robot testing to 3D printing and crane analysis and some spare parts for the oil wells and so on and so forth. So anything that you can imagine within the mechatronics fits within the field. Here are more examples: sensor and instrumentation technologies, automated processes. Robotic welding is very popular in Norway discussion because the trend is that we need to get people away from our wells in the North Sea. So that the wells and they are becoming more and more automatic, more and more independent of the people, of the humans. So we need remote operating systems. We need the robots, and then we can test them in our field, in our mechatronics innovation labs. So we are there to complement the existing services. Second one, example of our cooperation and innovation ideas is the WISENet lab. It's Intelligent Signal Processing and Wireless Network lab. They are led by Spanish professor, Professor Baltazar. He is a professor within the networks and how it's called, clever networks, but information communication generally. And they work on machine learning, they work on embedded systems, they work on combination of networks, distributed intelligence, and so on and so forth. And they managed to receive funding from 6 Norwegian Research Council programs. So by getting together all the knowledge within their fields, they managed to create such a strong research group that they easily pick up the funding from research programs. And again, they work very close together with the students, of course. They have a lot of PhD students from all around the world coming and studying there. As an example, we have 325 PhD students as of today. 85 are from abroad. Out of 85 students, 40 are within the one faculty of engineering and science. And out of these 40, half of them are working within communication technologies, approximately, plus minus. And this all brings us to the main idea of our strategy of University of Agder for these years up until the 2020, the year 2020. The idea is co-creation of knowledge. It means that we gathering together our competences close to each other so that we are able to co-create knowledge. Cross-disciplinary approach is getting more and more important for us. And in this case, we use the picture of our campus in Grimstad, the second campus, to show that we are planning and constructing the labs in the proximity of the main university. So this is the main campus, and here we have the Mechatronics Innovation Lab is very close to our main campus. Then here we have Center for Artificial Intelligence Research, Computer Science and Mechatronics. WiseNet is located here. Health sciences are here, and they are building a new lab that is called I4Health. Will you mention this? Okay. And finally, we have Business and Innovation Lab. So everything is close together, so the technology starts from one place, goes to the next place, continues to business and innovation, and then we implement them, then we sell it probably and back up and come out of the project. If not, we put it in the incubator, and then our students develop the idea to enterprise and level, and then sell themselves out. So this is, everything is a part of our innovation ecosystem for entrepreneurship, as we call them. We start here, our students start at Start UiA. UiA is the short name of our university. Start UiA is entrepreneurship lab, where you can come and learn about entrepreneurship, how to start thinking in the commercialization area. After this, our students get ideas, and they go for something that is called UiA Innovation, or UiA Nyskaping in Norwegian. They can also test their ideas in Mechatronics Innovation Labs. They can get assistance from Nordic Crowdfunding Alliance. So they are being coached. When they are finished, in a way, with coaching, they go to the next level of commercialization, go into the company level. Either they can get support from the Research Council, from Innovation Norway, again from the Crowdfunding Alliance. These parts are mainly the commercialization idea. So when you come from idea to an enterprise level. So you start with interest, you go to coaching, you get support for coaching, small seed money to just try your idea, some seed money to go to innovation lab, to try this, to use this robot and stuff like this. When you are mature enough, you go to the commercialization level, and then you apply for funds, then you go to the next level. So UiA Innovation is kind of our response to this encouragement principles. We need to encourage people to do more innovation. We need to encourage them to use their ideas, to try to commercialize, try to open their enterprises, and explain that there's nothing it's not scary to enter this world, but especially when you have good coaching, especially when you have good support. So, and through the UiA Innovation as an organization, we're able to accelerating the design process so that we create a high-speed highway for design process for the projects that meet criteria, and the design process meets the needs of each project. So we assist the students in a way and prepare them for the incubator, prepare them for the enterprise level. And I will show you just a second small video that explains a little bit more the UiA innovation principles. Let's see.
At universities around the world, scientists are working on groundbreaking research, which often has the potential for further development. One of the functions of the university is to help each scientist reach their full potential. Our team can help with business development, securing of IPR, getting the right team, and much more. It's up to each individual researcher to choose how much to engage in each project. New research can become new products and services that can have a huge impact on society by creating jobs and creating pathways for additional research.
Yeah, so very short, but it's open to any ideas. There is no limit to one faculty or something like this. It's open to anyone. That's why we created it. And again, this is centrally financed. There are people working there, getting their salary from the University of Agder, but they're working for the students there. More than 300 small and medium-sized enterprises, they went through our program. These are just examples of our student enterprises. Some of them are small, some of them grow bigger. Storm is a big supplier of winter clothes. Norway is very popular to have good winter clothes. And you can find a lot of information about these companies when you take a look, but if you see some of these logos, you can just remember they went through our innovation program. Finally, we also try to send our students abroad. We are working very closely with several countries where we create partnerships with Norwegian enterprises that are already established in these countries. It means that we are sending our Norwegian students, they take a course or two at the institute or university abroad, and they start to work at Norwegian companies in that country. Just an example from India, we have cooperation with Jawaharlal University. Students are going there, taking 1 or 2 courses, and they start to work with Telenor, the largest telecommunication company in Norway, but Telenor India. They work with Statkraft in India. So they get the local knowledge into the global company and become a new type of global citizens. The same with China and in Indonesia. Jotun is the largest producer of the paintings, all types of oil paintings. They have their offices in Indonesia, so after the courses in Kristiansand, they go to Indonesia for a course there, and they go and work at Jotun for practice period for up to 6 months or 1 year. So basically our goal is that we want to educate the students with global mindset. They should also have critical reflection, they have analytical skills, but mostly what they need to understand the triple bottom line. The people, the planet, and last but not least, the profit. And if we have more and more such type of students, such candidates, we will be happy and we think that our goal will be reached as a university. Thank you.
Is an assistant professor at the Department of Information and Communication Technology and member of the Health Center of the University of Agder. The title of his presentation is Issue of Technologies at the University of Agder.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. I will also try to do this without the microphone, although I was asked to keep it switched on so that it gets on the camera. Can you all understand me? That's okay. Actually, before starting with my own talk, I would like to take the opportunity to give a big thank you in the name of the University of Agder for the invitation and the possibility to come here to Crete. So actually, in the presentations and the lab visits we had during the day today already, we have seen many actually very interesting, very good, very high-level work and results. And we see a good number of connection points to continue with joint projects, so that we have a lot of information that we will take with us home to Norway, so to our colleagues, so that we can then see how to work together even closer. Yeah, also I would like to forward best regards from our rector, Professor Frank Reichert. He happens to be in a big Norwegian delegation in China right now with around 200 people, so which was the whole week until I think it is actually tomorrow, so he could not really come here. Yeah, I'm a member of the faculty for technology and science at the University of Agder, and one of those areas we carry out there as part of our department for information and communication technologies is research in the area of e-health. So for those that have never heard about e-health, it's basically the combination of communication technologies and healthcare services. So everything that, all the type of technologies that create future-proof healthcare services. Yeah. And I would like to tell you a little bit about what we at the University of Agder do in the area of e-health research and also e-health service-related innovation. Yeah, because that fits to the topic of the workshop today. So the Center of e-health that we have as one of the top priority areas is actually a cooperation of 4 faculties, which proves to be very beneficial because it's a multidisciplinary research area. So we combine, starting perhaps down here with our area, with the Faculty for Engineering and Science that brings in the technology competence, but then we have the Faculty of Health and Sports Sciences, that contribute all the competence related to laws and health-related requirements and services. Then we have the Faculty of Social Science involved, and last but not least, the School of Business Law. Because eventually services also have kind of a business aspect in order to be future-proof. So, as said, it is a top strategic priority area of the University of Agder to look into this topic of e-health. So, as part of our e-health related work, well, we do education or support of research projects for PhDs, in the area of health and sports sciences, but then also in the area as information and communication technology. That's where I'm coming from. Computer sciences in particular, those that do a specialization in e-health then, but also PhDs in the area of economics and social sciences. So we have master degrees related to e-health. So we have a master program actually in health and social informatics. This is an internet-based part-time study for students in the Faculty for Health and Sports. So this is mainly for students with a nursing background, nursing and healthcare services background. We have a master degree in health, public health, dedicated in ICT, so everything related to system development, mobile communication, artificial intelligence, that is part of that master degree, and also in information systems. Also, I mentioned the bachelor degrees, in operations, maintenance, and security. There is a bachelor project related to e-health, that is offered to bachelor students, and also we offer projects for bachelor students in the area of information systems and nursing. So this is related to education. So a little bit about some of the project or operation model of the e-health center. Well, the overall vision of this e-health center is that it is a sort of an arena that brings together teaching, research, development, and also testing of new technologies in the health sector with a clear focus on the end users. And the end users are actually all stakeholders involved in healthcare services, so it's not only the patient, but it's also doctors, nurses, so all those that on the different ends are related to these healthcare services. And then basically, like from the organizational model, different parties, different stakeholders come together in this Center for e-health. We have like national and international research institutions, so we are not working there alone, we are cooperating, of course. We have users that really come and somehow support our work or participate in our work, like patients and also other types of users. We have municipalities, which are the main providers of healthcare services. So those service providers and hospitals, they also participate in the research. We have industry partners. These are those that eventually implement, realize, and also productify healthcare services. And we have a Center for Care Research at our university. We carry out externally funded research. We are a network of partners from all different types of stakeholders. And we have a close link into research and education. That means we involve also students in our research and development work. One of the core aspects of the work we carry out is the infrastructure that basically creates a mini health system Norway. So it's a very modern IT infrastructure basically that allows the cooperation of the different partners or of the different stakeholders in the healthcare system, also within our research and development environment. So we can carry out the research in the same way as if we would be in the national healthcare system. Yeah, this is in particularly important to consider security requirements between the different parts of the healthcare system. Yeah, what we have as facility at the campus of our university, we have a 450 square meters lab. Like again, it's kind of a mini health system. Yeah, it is like a whole floor. We have, I think in total we have 24 hospital beds there. Yeah, we have nursing homes, we have a health clinic. Yeah, we have rooms with mobile home services. Yeah, we have a smart home or kind of a patient home where we have sensors and smart home technology. So we have, in a way, access to all the different technologies that we need to develop and test them in sort of combined services. Yeah? In this infrastructure or in this environment, we carry out teaching, research, but also development with the different stakeholders and eventually testing those services and preparing them for deployment in the national network. Again, the main benefit of focus here is somehow the end users, all the end users. So it's not the technology itself. Yeah, we look at the benefits for the users and their requirements. Yeah, an essential part of our eHealth lab is a usability lab. So we also know you have similar infrastructure also here. So the main purpose of the usability lab here is to be able to test interactive services with the different user groups. Yeah, like we combine this smart house or patient home that we have with an office for a general practitioner, and we can sort of video record usage sessions. We have eye tracking technology to see which aspects of phone applications or tablet applications or online applications are distracting or are working well with the users. So we test all services in this usability lab, we record them, and we can then, as part of the research, evaluate them and see what has to be improved, what works well, what doesn't work well. So this is then part of the, what we say, iterative refinement of the development process. Yeah, we start with analyzing requirements, we develop or implement a prototype, we test it, we find things that don't work, we test it, we improve it, we test it again, and eventually we take it into trials. Yeah, so we have in some projects already run trials with around or more than 100 patients in their natural environment. So this is eventually the goal, to prepare that for deployment in the real health network. The next step, and Dimitri had already mentioned that, is a health-related innovation lab, which we call I4 Health. This, I will explain you why. This is a multidisciplinary innovation center for healthcare services and solutions. So what does this I4 stand for? Actually, it has different dimensions, I would say. First, it means, well, it covers all the steps from an idea through the involvement of all the different user groups to the innovation aspects in the sense of building prototypes, looking at business aspects, then implementing it, testing it, and also preparing it for deployment in the real network. Yeah, and at least 4 different sites of corporations are involved in this innovation lab. yeah, it is ourselves, yeah, representing research and academia. Then it involves industries, so those that implement it, those that are eventually the vendors of such solutions. It is user groups, so we really involve patients and representatives from patient groups. Yeah, it is the public sector, those that operate eventually the healthcare services, and potentially further. Yeah, so this I4Health works together with, closely together with the different labs at our university, and some of them already appeared in Dimitro's presentation. So it is robotics, for example, in the Mechatronics Innovation Lab. Yeah, also robotics relate to e-health services. Yeah, so there is ongoing work on utilizing robots for home-based healthcare support. Yeah, so up to the level that robots can actually physically support elderly people, for example, at home, at certain routine aspects of daily life. Yeah, then we have artificial intelligence as an important part. Actually, just 1 year ago, a bit more than 1 year ago, we started a new Center for Artificial Intelligence Research at our university. So artificial intelligence then, of course, is used, for example, to automatically evaluate health-related data to support the diagnosis and the analysis of patient status. Yeah, we cooperate with the ViceNet lab, also introduced by Dimitro, so we utilize smart sensors for the monitoring of patients. Yeah, and then eventually our innovation support activities. Yeah, so we use our own infrastructure and bring that together with specialists and municipal health providers, as they are basically the demanding clients and customers of the solutions we develop and test. Yeah, physically, I think the image we have already seen. This is the overall campus, and we have this I4Health lab here in this model. Actually, it is just a model and not a photo, because the building of this has just started last month. So it's actually a quite big investment at our university to, well, to go for a long-term strategy in the area of health-related research and innovation support. Yeah, co-creation for user-driven technology, innovation and integration, that is the main purpose of this innovation center. Well, and as somehow mentioned, it creates convergence around robotics, artificial intelligence, sensors, human-computer interaction, usability studies, and also data security. So everything that is required to come up with new healthcare solutions. Yeah, this building project, as mentioned, it just started recently. Well, it will be offering a lot of additional space for the work in this area. Yeah, and gives space for a number of labs related to the e-health work. Yeah, I will jump over that a little bit quickly. This gives an idea, again it's a model of course, of how it will look inside. So the idea is really to have the different environmental rooms that you need to do cooperative development and testing of healthcare services, to have them closely side by side. So it is like having a user's home up here. It is a GP praxis, and it's also a healthcare center. So the different players in the healthcare system are in a way sitting here side by side. We will partly also have real healthcare providers, so we rent out some offices to GPs in the new building. So basically from the early idea to prototyping, to testing, to deploying it eventually in the real world, we can basically do this whole process under one roof. Yeah, the building started, as I said, last month. During this year, well, the contents, like everything for basically what should be done inside, how should it operate, who will work how, this is part of ongoing work. Basically it's planned that this building is ready already next year in summer, so a building time of just a bit more than 1.5 years, and then it should be ready and open for work. Yeah. So then, a few words about actually what type of projects we work on within the eHealth Center and also in the Innovation Lab. Well, the big focus is on telehealth solutions. So, solutions to provide remote patient monitoring and support. Yeah, so that means, in particular for an elderly society, that people can live at their private homes as long as possible and get support to maintain their health condition like in an independent manner as long as possible. Yeah, they get certain support, they are monitored, and depending on sort of their condition, nurses or doctors can go there, or they get appointments to go to a doctor themselves. But the main aspect is give them remote support to allow them an independent life in their own home as long as possible. Yeah, this is one of the main research scopes. Then the co-creation of solutions following a user-centered design is the main design approach, is the main way of working. Yeah, that we involve all the different user groups in the development and creation of solutions. Well, and then one big research concept that we recently started is something we call eCoach. That is an observation and artificial intelligence driven system to provide automatically behavioral recommendations. Yeah, a system that analyzes the health status of people, and depending on that, gives automatically recommendations how to change behavior, perhaps how to do medication. So it's diagnosis and recommendation system based on observations. Yeah, the basic principle is technology and care hand in hand. Yeah, so really look at the needs of the users. Yeah, and do not focus on the technology as the first thing. Yeah, as part of that, well, we have a sort of guiding use case that is a smart home in the year 2020. So the scenario is we have a 75-year-old person living alone in a way in his home, and for that we have a demonstration room with technology. This is part of the research that we already have today. And then we do several activities together with the healthcare providers and also with the care industry. Yeah, so we can do wireless surveillance and monitoring of medical data. As I said before, that's part of telehealth solutions. We have sensors in the room and sensor installations. So for example, sensors to do automatically fall detection, yeah, but also to do some surveillance of dementia patients, for example. Do they get up? Do they leave the room, perhaps, so to warn care persons? Yeah, integration of technology solutions in this home environment, do some access management and control. So, for example, for health people that want to get into that home, yeah. Change detection and movement patterns. So, how does this the person behave in the room? In his home, are there perhaps certain things that indicate changing in the health condition, and so on. Also, actually, video-based interaction is an important part in the telehealth environment. Yeah, this is just one example of a prototype that we have developed up to a trial system. So support for electronic treatment. So we have implemented a tablet-based application So with some camera and microphone for video interaction. Yeah, we have a sensor, in that case a pulse oximetry sensor that was integrated with Bluetooth communication to carry out measurements in an easy way. We have a spirometer device. Yeah, and eventually this application then provided support to the patient to do sort of the to support the self-monitoring, to carry out measurements, and to somehow get also some individual information. There was a questionnaire with 6 questions, and one of the main aspects of that was to develop and test it again together with the users, with the patients, in order to make it as easy and user-friendly to use. Yeah, this is a list of a few further projects on European level and also Norwegian level. I think I won't go into details of that. We are part of, we in this case, the eHealth Center, part of some international networks. In particular, the European Innovation Partnership on Active and Healthy Aging. And there we are sort of B3 level member and reference site. Certifying some of the type of work we do in this area. We are part of the COST network. We have a memorandum of understanding with NHS 24 in Scotland. And also with the Norwegian Center for eHealth Research. This was basically from my side around activities in the eHealth area. Thank you very much.
Professor Kostas Ballas is a full professor at the Electrical and Computer Engineering School of the Technical University of Crete, director of the Electronics Laboratory, and the leader of the Optoelectronics Group. He is also the president of the Greek Photonics Associations. The title of his presentation is Translating Biophotonics and Spectral Imaging Research to Global Market Problems.
So good afternoon. It's my pleasure to give you an. So the plan is to give you a short presentation on what we are doing in the electronics lab of the Electrical and Computer Engineering School at the Technical University of Crete. My purpose is mainly to focus on the technology spin-off activities because I think this is the major part in the interest of this discussion, this audience. So this is a slide showing Hanya, actually, and here is a slide showing that we have snow in Crete. So we're not a tropical place, as you guys from Norway may think. So we have snow, and we have all the seasons actually. This is the team, the dream team. I don't call it dream team because it's high performing, it's because they wake up late, so they sleep a lot. So these are my group actually. This is Matthias Bucher from his associate professor. He's working on microelectronics, so the lab is divided in microelectronics and optoelectronics. He is from Switzerland, and he is the second faculty member. Nathanael is PhD on physics. He's also staff on the lab. The other guys are graduate students. All the graduate students are paid. Actually, they are paid either from grants or from the spin-off companies that they are used to work at the same time doing their master thesis or PhD thesis. There are some cases that we are proud to say that we pay also undergraduate students, high-performing undergraduate students who are very good in software or hardware. That is, I think, important to employment. Now, what we are doing and where our main region of focus, the general sector is known as biophotonics, which is an interdisciplinary field merging together the sciences of photonics and bio. And actually, the basic idea is that we use light to interrogate tissues and get information from biomedical or structural changes which are occurring during the progression of neoplasia. And that way we're developing methods for non-invasive diagnosis of precancerous lesions at the very early stage. So that's the basic idea of biophotonics. And what is the motivation of developing new technologies? You probably know that the basic procedure, the established procedures, according to the international guidelines, not only in Greece, not only in Norway, but all around the world, the procedure starts with a screening test. I just, let you, I'm sure that you're familiar with the PAP test, which is a screening test in case of gynecology, where you would be surprised if you know that the sensitivity of this test is 59%. That means that about 40% of the cases are missed during the first screening test. Okay, so this test is very good, has served a lot in reducing the incidence of cancer in the historical lowest level. However, the failure rate is quite high. The problem is that the benefit, on the other hand, is because neoplasia develops slowly, it takes several years to develop it to become invasive carcinoma. You have the hope to capture the neoplasia at the second PAP test or the third PAP test, and that is why this test has a lot of contribution, because originally, if you look at as it starts, performance is poor. Okay, so assuming that you are lucky and the condition was detected, and then you are referred for a clinical examination, the in vivo examination. So after an abnormal screening test, you visit the physician to see where the lesion is and to where to get the biopsy, and to submit this sample eventually that he is going or she is going to get to histology. So clinical diagnosis is based on impressions. It looks at the lesion, it looks at the colors, and in most cases, if there are substantial color changes, that means that the problem has been already developed. So most of the cases, in precancerous conditions, the color changes are not so evident. So it's not possible to come up with a definitive diagnosis just looking at the lesion, and that's why they get a biopsy. Okay, so when getting a biopsy, there is another problem related to the golden standard, because biopsy is the golden standard. Biopsy is telling you how severe is the problem that you get. And in that case, we do have sampling errors. Okay, we try to get a biopsy from a point, but you don't have a visual information, a sensitive visual information, so you probably can get a biopsy from that point, or from that point, or from that point, and then you have sampling errors. You have also reading errors, because if you give the same slides to the same histologist, 1 month later, he will disagree with himself for an amount of 20%, and there is an inter-observer disagreement of 40%. So, you have reading errors. 20 to 40% inter- and inter-observer disagreement. The procedure is costly and labor-intensive. You have a long waiting time, and it can also split cancer cells. Okay, because you can distract the basal membrane and spread the cancer cells that way. So it's impossible, it's not advisable to do unnecessary biopsies if it's not strictly recommended. So biopsy is like this cartoon showing like being kind of a fishing thing, okay, trying to fish in dark waters. So this is where we stand today. However, it's well established, and it's scientifically established that there are several biochemical and structural changes that are during the progression of the disease. You can see here the epithelium, this is the basal membrane, these are the cells, and started proliferating fastly, and then several things are happening, not only on the thickness of the epithelium, whereas if it reaches a certain thickness, it breaks the basal membrane, you have metastasis going through the blood circulation on the lymph system. There are also biochemical changes, like changing the pH of the extracellular changes. There are several biochemicals that are accumulated in the cells during the development of the neoplasia, even much earlier, before it becomes an atomic change. You have a lot of biochemical changes. Okay, these biochemical changes are completely invisible. Nobody can see in vivo or even in getting a sample, because if you get a sample and you do histology, the tissue is not anymore living, so all the biochemical changes are not exist anymore. So it's a tricky situation. And the importance of early detection is not only important in terms of reducing the morbidity and the mortality, but also it has a huge financial impact. Because if one lesion is captured, is detected at the invasive stage, then the cost in terms of euros is quite high, because you are going to do chemotherapy, you are going to do surgery, very expensive operations, and so there are several other benefits, not only for protecting the health population, but also for saving money for the health system. And that's why these systems working on late detection are not sustainable anymore, and they are under the threat of collapsing if they are not developed early detections, methods for early detection. Okay. On the other hand, if one develops such a technology, you have to be sure that it will be adopted from the health systems and the insurance systems, because you will save money to these guys, and also it's one criterion for success. So as I said, the human optical system, the clinicians, have the disadvantage of looking either through endoscopes or microscopes, just like a three-color imaging, three colors in the visible part of the spectrum. They cannot see these functional and structural changes that are, coming just before developing a neoplasia. And you can see they just look on colors. Colors are quite different hues everywhere, so it's very subjective, qualitative. It's kind of art, it's not science. So the research community started working on how to detect these biochemical changes, and they appoint the spectroscopy, the classical, the well-known spectroscopy, like putting spectrometers in tissues, trying to identify different chemicals by looking at these peaks here, where these peaks are detecting several chemicals. However, there were several problems again, because tissues are complicated, and you have again to navigate the probe by your eye. So you have to guide the probe. Like in biopsy again, you have to select it, otherwise you have to scan like 6 to 5 million spectra, which was impossible to implement it clinically. And here where we start working on hyperspectral imaging, where we have not only the spectroscope, the spectral information, but also the spatial information. So hyperspectral imaging is a fantastic technology. You actually make a camera, instead of looking at 3 colors, making a camera and looking at 120 colors. Looking not only in the visible, but also in the infrared and also in the ultraviolet part of the spectrum, and then you increase dramatically your chances to be able to detect biochemical changes which are not visible to the human eye. So this is what we call spectral hypervision. We developed such a system, and we had several advantages over existing technology. The other technologies requiring a lot of scanning time. This technology was initially developed for satellite imaging, and they use a lot of scanning time. It was impossible to implement this in the human examination. We had the hyperspectral imagers, which were able to capture simultaneously all the wavelengths in one shot and be able to identify chemicals. So we started at about 2002, when I was working on fourth another institute in Apprilίου, and filed the first patent for this technology. We started working in the gynecology sector because it was accessible, the cervical cancer, plus that I had nice relations with gynecologists in the field, and because, as I said, the problem was very well known and well recognized, and everybody were looking for a solution. So I have said this, since this is the standard diagnostic procedure, you have the pap test, you have colposcopy, you see 59, 56% and histology, and all these procedures are, the woman has to follow all these procedures. You do first the pap test, and you go colposcopy, and then if colposcopy finds nothing, you go again pap test, otherwise you do biopsy. If the biopsy is negative, then you go, and then you circulate, and it's a bit of a problem. So then we set up this device, DISYS, Dynamic Spectral Imaging System, patented worldwide. And I'm going to show you, this is today's version. And this is how it works. We actually apply a chemical to the surface, which changes the optical properties of the neoplastic tissue selectively for reasons that we have done a lot of. We have worked about 10 years in interpreting this phenomenon to show why the optical properties are changing with neoplasia, has been published and patented. So we get a series of images in definite wavelengths, and we calculate the uptake and wash out of this agent in each pixel. So we capture actually with a procedure which lasts about 3 minutes, we capture 6 million curves of this type, and these curves shows the temporal, the spatial, and the spectral changes of the tissue. And we have get biases. We got biases from the points that we had different curve profiles. So we found that normal tissue has a curve profile of this type, HPV infection of this type, but you see neoplasia and high-grade lesion gets us a curve of this type, and these yellow-red parts here are showing high-grade neoplasia, whereas these blue parts here are showing low-grade or inflammation. So you got kind of a pseudo-color map, which is like a weather forecast map, and then you get this map shows you exactly where to get a biopsy or where it exists in 3 minutes without getting any tissue removal. And after that, we published this technology initially in a low impact journal because we don't thought that it was something very important. And 2 United States companies approached us asking whether this technology is available for licensing. At that day, I did not know, I'm not sure whether I know the word license. So then I did something and I started filing patents. Because with the United States systems, I have some time to file, although I have some for publication. So then we file patents and we visit these guys in the United States. They pay our expenses, they pay a lot of money to see the technology. We test this technology in New Hampshire, in Lebanon, in Boston, and everything went fine. And then venture capitalists came into the scene and they said, okay, I'm giving you this amount of money setting up a company. So we got this 2.5 million without a business plan, just because of the results. And then it went through several procedures of, today we are dying, tomorrow we are happy. So, it took time, but we make something, I think, good. We run clinical trials in the UK because to establish credibility, otherwise they would tell us, you are Greeks, come on, you are friends. So that's why we moved to the United Kingdom and set on the clinical trials there. And then we have received so far about 25 million euros in investments, and we have now set up a company in Edinburgh and in Tampa, United States, and in others as well. So here are the clinical trials. There's a lot of clinical trials worldwide. Now we have in the United States a huge trial with 20,000 women in the States. We have FDA approval achieved already. The device is produced in Sweden and it's commercialized worldwide. And this is now goes very well. And at that stage, we have stepped out because now it's a pure commercial company. There's no interest from a scientific viewpoint. Goes well, they don't need us. But now, as you see, the sensitivities are approaching 97% at the start of 2062. And this is because our R&D work, okay? So the R&D work is always needed. This one increases the migration of the company dramatically, this change here. So we are kind of monopoly today because there is no any other device worldwide having these capabilities. This is actually what it looks like. This is something that is very important. So far, gynecologists, they have established a knowledge saying that the higher the grade, the bigger the lesion. So they say if it's a high grade, I will see it, which is not true. We have found small focal lesions which are giving metastasis. So this is such a lesion here. It has been detected, these red small parts here, and this is this area is sort of. Okay, doesn't matter. And now the device features in the United States media, as you can see here, and as a new cancer, a new weapon for cancer. So it's in the television everywhere. Now, after having this experience, we are in the process. We thought that instead of having these medical devices now working at the hands of the clinicians, a good hypothesis is to develop smartphones, smart mobile phones, having improved capabilities in the detection part. So instead of having a camera making pictures, put the hyperspectral imager inside the mobile phone. So we had the Huawei, the company, the Chinese company came into Hanya, have a lot of discussions with these guys, set up a collaboration agreement, and then we got an investment in setting up the QCell company, which is based in Hanya. And what's the basic idea now is that from the commercial point of view, you have noticed that all the companies selling mobile phones are advertising their camera. Okay, they say my camera has 9 megapixels, 12 megapixels, 15 megapixels, but all the images are used for the Facebook, whereas in the Facebook they downgrade the image like even below VGA, So it's completely useless. The other thing is that once they increase the resolution of the camera, they make the pixel small, and if you make the pixel small, you lose the colors. So that's why the color quality is crap, but they have a lot of pixels. So we have also proven in our lab that the lens of the mobile phone cannot support more than 6 megapixels. So the lens which is in front, it cuts off the whole information. Here, just 6 megapixels, no more. But these guys, they still claim that they sell cameras with 21 megapixels, which is crap. It's completely out of any size. And they continue doing this. So what we propose, we say switch from, instead of increasing the number of pixels, increase the number of colors. Increasing the number of colors means that instead of getting 3 colors, get 100 colors, wavelengths. Okay? So that is extremely important even for photography, because we're now going to present the spectral photography instead of three-band photography. We're going to have a full spectral photography. That's the one product. Okay? And this is when we're talking about spectral imaging, we talk of devices of this size and of a cost of 150,000 euros each. That is impossible to do anything about mobile business. So we have developed technology that can do this thing, and we have ended up to this small camera, which is like a sock. You grab it on your mobile phone like that, on the OTG, and this camera is of this size, and it costs nothing. I mean, it's negligible, and it captures 50 spectral images, and it captures also about 10 millions of spectra per pixel. And the idea is to use this camera for self-tests, like checking this plastic divide, because the Caucasians have about 150 this plastic divide. It's impossible for them to check all these moles, So the idea is to be able to check yourself with your mobile phone, and that is where we have discussed as a possibility of putting this device to your e-health systems. Is just this example show the case. Here is this plastic divide. You can see that the melanin becomes transparent in the infrared. In the case where the mole is okay, there's low risk. Whereas if you have a melanoma, the melanin is not becoming transparent in the infrared because it's a different chemical composition. It is different melanin. So we can have this camera looking at the infrared and see whether it still sees black spots or white. That's so simple. And get a red flag to go to the doctor. It's not providing a definitive diagnosis, but it's a red flag. This is something dangerous, you have to look at it. So this is a screening device. And you have to notice that there are about 4 billion people having mobile phones in their hands. So having the ability of these guys to be able to check themselves and look for red flags, that would be definitely a high impact project for the population. Other applications are the aesthetic thing, okay, which is also important because we look at maps of oxy-deoxyhemoglobin, which are signs for aging. This is a project that we ran with Johnson & Johnson and Chania in the United States. This is, you can see here on dental applications, also on food quality, because there are many capabilities in checking the food with your mobile phone when you go to the market. And these are also other applications related to diabetic limb, because there are many people suffering from diabetes and they run the risk to lose their limb. So you can look on your mobile phone and see whether you have deoxyhemoglobin concentrated to your limb and go take some action. Other applications, this is outside the university of the window. There are students done these experiments. Mr. Kusionis is here who's done this thing. With this camera we can do photography through the clouds, because in the infrared these are becoming transparent, so you can see here something that's not visible. You can also see the quality of food, like this black spot here is not evident here. And because in the infrared you can see this clearly, so you can use this technology. And also, of course, for drones and this kind of applications, but I'm not going to go through the various applications. The thing is that we are talking now for a platform technology that has potential to address several problems. And having said that, I'm coming to an end. Just to capitalize my experience, to summarize my experience in setting up this kind of activities, I think the problem that we have to address in Greece is that, for some historical reasons, making companies from the university was kind of an evil thing. Okay? It was not kind of, not only in Greece, I would say, but in other parts of the world. So the trend is now to reconsider this original role of the universities as producing just knowledge or papers, because we do have a lot of technology and we can create jobs. Like in Greece, this is important for this recession period. We can create jobs, we can finance our projects, and I think that's why it's important. So the particularity in Greece is that we don't have technology transfer offices established at the universities like others, which I don't think that's a big problem, because sometimes the technology transfer offices are generating a lot of bureaucracy. So we do here, we were following a different approach. I mean, something that has been established by Vasilis, the previous rector of the university. Like, we have thinking that if the spin-off have a kind of a profit share deal with the university, at the time that this company becomes profitable, then the money will return to the labs of the university, and the rector will distribute the money the way he wants. So I think that is a simple scenario, because it's not possible for Greeks to invest money, to hire very well-educated personnel knowing about patents and administering patents. I don't think that the government will give us money in doing this, and that's why I believe that making a deal for the company to do all the legal work and to do everything that wants to maintain and to secure the IP, at the same time securing the interests of the university, I think it's a flexible scenario for the moment. And as we go, hoping that the things will improve and develop the PTOs, so I don't think that it's a good solution to wait until making the PTOs and then start doing something. I think we have to do this now. The other thing, this is a publication from Norway. They done it's it's a paper which makes sense everywhere. In the past, the rise of the patents was privilege of the professors. And now these guys in Norway, they follow the US model. And so the professors have very limited privileges now. And they have noticed a 50% decline of the entrepreneurship. So they remove so it's something that I have found 1 month ago, because I think it's interesting. So there are publications on whether the incentives has to be on. Now, I don't want to go through these details now. I think, summarizing is that I think it was tough, but there is some outcome, some interesting outcome. As I said, it's a wealthy procedure. It's always very, very, very nice to see all this queue here waiting to see your device here in the conference. Okay, it's always important to. There's a lot of prizes and awards for all around the world, like in Scotland, we got the Scottish Life Science Award on 13, the Mental Innovation Award. And I have this slide because it's for psychotherapy actually, because in Greece, in recession time, you have to look at this type of slides saying, we are the champions, okay? It makes you feel better, okay? Thank you very much.
Dr. Maria Makridaki is a technology transfer consultant at Praxis Network, unit of the Foundation for Research and Technology AS. The title of her presentation is Building an Innovation Ecosystem in Crete.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me? So, my name is Maria Makridaki, and it's great that I'm taking over from Professor Ballas because I am a technology transfer consultant and I work for Praxis Network, which is a technology transfer office of the Foundation for Research and Technology in us. And I'm going to present your project on building an innovation ecosystem in Crete based on the creation of a technology transfer office that will offer its services to all the institutes found in Crete. We in Praxis Network are a unit, a technology transfer office, a unit of 4, but today we employ more than 30 people, and we offer our services throughout Greece to Athens. About 20 people from us are in Athens, are based in Athens. We have offices, branches at Thessaloniki, Volos, Patra, and of course Heraklion. We have a big service portfolio, but I would like to draw your attention to our unique added value services like advice on IP strategy, which is something very important, spin-off creation, advice on spin-off creation, advice on licensing agreements, and facilitation of clusters operation and manufacturing of technology parks. So now it's time for me to show you the map of Greece. Dimitri before showed the map of Norway. Now I'm showing you the map of Greece, and today we're going to talk about Crete, which is an island, a small island, but the biggest island in Greece. Now, when you ask someone about Crete, what they are thinking about Crete, they can tell you that Crete is famous for its landscape, its beaches, its wild beauty. Crete is also famous for history and tradition. Crete is famous for its agriculture and local Mediterranean diet. But this is not just the case, because there is more than that. Even though it seems strange, in Crete is found the largest concentration of scientific staff per capita in Greece outside Athens. We have state-of-the-art facilities and infrastructures and world-renowned research and educational institutes, as well as highly skilled personnel. This is something that is not well known. And even though excellent research is carried out throughout Crete, And we have 7 research and educational organizations of Crete, like the Technical University of Crete, the University of Crete, the Hellenic Center of Marine Research, the Mediterranean and Economical Institute of Chania, the Foundation of Research and Technology, the Technological Education and Institution of Crete, and the Hellenic Agricultural Organization, Demeter. We don't have the success and we don't have the economy that is supported, that can be supported by the research carried out in Crete. So the regional landscape is still lagging behind because we have identified that there is small and limited exploitation and commercialization of the research results. Professor Ballas is one of the few cases that had a success and managed to take his research out of the lab into the industry and make a profit. This is not the case for Crete. Furthermore, the vast majority of the companies found in Crete are very small to small companies that they don't have the resources and the capacity to absorb the new knowledge and the research results coming out of the Cretan institutes. Furthermore, and that was the main problem until now, there was limited or even no presence of funding opportunities for investing into research outcomes. So we thought that there's a need for a new approach. So the big challenge was to find a way to support the economy of Crete throughout the demand-driven innovation and transform it through the supply-side innovation. So in this scenario, which could be the role of the research and the academic ecosystem of Crete? I told you before that there are 7 institutes in Crete, throughout Crete, based in Chania, Heraklion, and Rethymnon. So we thought of a holistic approach. There are 7 different entities that if they collaborate, they can work together for a project named as Crete Innovation Initiative, or CRIN. We started our negotiations and started designing this project about 4 years ago. And this action plan actually looks at looks into the development of the real economy of Crete, based on a dynamic mix of the universities, the local companies, together with multiple funding schemes, and the technology transfer support services. That is a point which was missing until now, together with the funding schemes. So the holistic approach, this holistic approach, aims at the creation of a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem. This is something that was missing until now from Crete, which will invest in and capitalize on the accumulated knowledge created here, the human assets and existing infrastructures available throughout Crete, throughout the institutes of Crete. So all the institutes of Crete, the 7 institutes of Crete, agreed to join forces and to work together with the prefecture of Crete in order to achieve regional growth and development. This is something very recent, because even though we have been negotiating for the last 3 years, an MOU was signed 3 months ago, and a few weeks ago we had the first meeting together with the prefecture of Crete in order to discuss about the future of this project. So, which is the framework? We are looking into 4 different pillars. The first of all is to create a link between the scientific and the business community. We have 2 different worlds in Crete. We have the research and educational ecosystem, and we have the business community. They do not talk to each other, they do not collaborate. So even though there are the opportunities and our institutes can work as the R&D departments of the local companies, this is not the case. So we're looking into ways to bring these two worlds together. Secondly, we want to support the youth entrepreneurship by giving them the resources and the means to boost their ideas and go into the creation of startup companies and help them capitalize their knowledge. Also, we're looking into possibilities to hosting facilities for R&D-driven foreign companies. So we want to attract high-tech companies from abroad. Something similar happened a few weeks ago, was announced a few weeks ago, when Tesla came to Athens and brought its department of its R&D department close to a university in Athens in order to work together. So this is something that we want to do also in Crete. And last but not least is the thing that we want to make Crete the meeting point and the interaction point with investors. We want to attract the investors and show them that we have the foundation, we have all the resources for them, and Crete can be a very good investing point. The expected outcomes from this project is, as I told you before, the attraction of new ventures and investments, the utilization of the new knowledge, the support of youth entrepreneurship, to provide high-tech companies facilities, to have a spillover to all the local business and the industry based in Crete, the creation of spin-off companies, the attraction of new human capital, to have an interaction with the industry, to form clusters and accumulate new skills. As I told you before, until now there were no venture capitals and no access to private funding in Greece. We worked together, all the 7 institutes, in order to find a way to create a fund in Crete in order to fund cases coming out from the research institutes. And Professor Digalakis knows about this very well because he was one of the people who went to Luxembourg and visited the EAF a few years ago in order to find out how we can go on and create a fund, a local fund for Crete. And based on those actions, EquiFund was created. EquiFund is a new fund-to-fund programs in Greece. We have a new era for Greece because for the first time we have a fund-to-funds program in Greece, which is an initiative that is created by the Hellenic Republic in cooperation with the European Investment Fund. It's co-financed by the EU and national funds, as well as the EAF and private investors. And our project really had a significant role for the design and the creation of EquiFund. Now I'm going to steal a couple of slides from Yorgos Yakumakis, who is an EAF manager, and present to you what he presented a few months ago about the establishment of EquiFund. We worked very hard during the last 3 years and we created a portfolio and a track record from all the Cretan institutes in order to give that to EIF and ask them to make a fund for Crete. So we managed to attract the EIF managers and they came to Crete, 2 of them came to Crete, and they had meetings with all the stakeholders. They went to all the Cretan institutes, educational and research institutes. They had visits with the governor of Crete, and they met researchers. They saw cases for research exploitation. They saw that there is a potential. There are the people who have the infrastructures, we have everything that we need, but we don't have the money. So we have all the ingredients apart from the most important one. We have excellent research, which is not getting into the market because we don't have the means to take it from the lab to the market. This is the SWOT analysis from their visit to Crete. You can see, as Professor Bala said before, one of the main threats is the main weakness is that there is no technology transfer offices. We don't have any policy about that. The researchers do not get the support that they need in order to protect their IP, to come together with companies and so on. But there are also great opportunities. But as I told you before, there is lack of focused public initiatives and there is lack of funding. So based on that report, EquiFund was created, and actually on Monday was the first big event, and the EquiFund was presented to everybody. EquiFund now consists of about 400 million. I think this is much more than the 300 million it says here, because many private investors have put their money into EquiFund. And how it works. So we have the fund of funds, and the fund of funds has given the authority to 9 funds to work under the fund of funds. Given the fund, so we have 9 fund managers who are working into three different pillars. Here are the 3 pillars. So we have the innovation window. We have 4 funds that operate under the innovation window, And the innovation window looked into the cases of research results and the mature research results that need funding to go into the market. We have the early stage window that supports startups, and the growth stage window that gives funding to already established companies that want to have another business plan and grow their business. The huge success in our case is that we have the innovation window. For the first time, we have 4 funds who are actually looking into cases at the universities that they want to put their money into cases coming from the universities throughout Greece, of course. But in the case of Crete, we are in front of that because we already have done so much preparatory work during those 4 years, and we are very close to the first investments. So many fund managers have come already to Crete, they have seen many researchers, they have seen great results, they have seen the excellent research which is currently here. They're really impressed. The feedback that we get is that they are really impressed with what they see. And we're very close to the first investments, and let's hope the first success cases coming out from this project. So Crete is a project that aims to transform the region of Crete into an innovation ecosystem that will galvanize the research and the educational capacity together with all the industry and the business world. And the main objective through this project is to create a novel brand name for the region of Crete. So no more a touristic destination, or yes, a touristic destination, but also something more. Something new, something innovative, something that is capitalizing on all the research and the excellent innovation ecosystem that we have in Crete. Thank you very much.
Professor Fotis Paskouras is a full professor at the School of Production, Engineering and Management of the Technical University of Crete and co-director of research at the Financial Engineering Laboratory. He is also the scientific director of the Innovation House of the Technical University of Crete. The title of his presentation is Entrepreneurship, Research and Development and Innovation. Where do we stand in Crete?
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. So I think that I'm going to follow up from the presentation of Maria, because I'm going to talk also about the things that she has already mentioned, but I'm going to build on them and give some more data as economic data, because I'm an economist by education. So I'm going to focus on what I know better. So I've heard about Crete. Here are some information about Crete population: 623,000 in Hanya, where we are now 157,000. The GDP is 2.27 in billions euro in Hanya, and 8.79 in Crete as a total. If you want to express that on a per person, per capita base, then we have about 14,000 in Hanya and about close to that 13,900 in Crete. Gross value added at 2 billion euros in Hanya, 7.76 in Crete, and then 155 in Greece. Unemployment, you can see this also most recent data. I'm going to apologize for not having data up to 2017 or 18, but as we know, it takes some time for the official data to become available, so I use whatever is the most recent data that are available in all cases, but still they are not up to 2017 or 18. So unemployment in Crete, we are doing a bit better than the rest of Greece. And you can see that nearly 20% in Hanya, a bit lower the average from 3 out of the 4 regions, regions in Crete. Now, I'm now going to talk about the enterprises. Here are some data for Greece in general. They're not available for Crete, but the pattern is more or less the same in Crete. In a sense that you can see that nearly 99.something% are very small, so up to 10 employees, or small corporations, or even medium corporations up to 250 employees in that case. And the large corporations in Greece are nearly non-existent. Okay? And the same happens here in Crete, in Chania, and it is even more the case, right? Because most of the large corporations we have in Crete, which is a tiny proportion, they're based in Athens or Thessaloniki at best. So we're talking about a market where 99.something of the market is very small or small enterprises. Here are some figures that also give an idea of what happens in the island. So the first panel shows the raw data, and in the second I've calculated some ratios, if you want, by taking into account that the population or by relating the turnover to the number of enterprises that we have. We can see, for example, if I will divide the number of enterprises that operate in each one of the regions with the population, the latest data that we have for the population, you can see that there are roughly about 245 enterprises per 1,000 persons in La City, or 158 persons in Rethymnon. At the same time, in Greece, there were 129. So we have many enterprises here, once we express them in relation to the population that we have. And in the last column, I have divided the total turnover, so this gives obviously a very rough idea, if you want. Okay? It's not that every company has a turnover of 100,000 in the case of Heraklion, but gives an idea when we divide the total the turnover in billions we have over there with the number of enterprises that we have. So we would say that a typical company on average would make 100,000. Of course, there can be huge deviations from the very large, from some that make only a very low turnover and ones that have a high turnover. But you can get an idea of what happens in the island comparable to the rest of Greece. We heard before about agriculture or about accommodation, that is a huge industry. Here I have some information about the importance of the sectors in the island. So we can see that if I will take for each one of the regions, the turnover that is being generated by specific business activities, we can see, for example, that in Heraklion, within Heraklion, the whole, in terms of trade, either wholesale or retail, they generate about 40% of the total of turnover that's been generated in the region of Heraklion. And then this is followed by manufacturing at 12%. So about 50% of the turnover in Heraklion is being generated by these two market segments. If we're going to go to the employment, we can see that agriculture and the rest, forestry and fishing, they around 24% of employment in Heraklion is employed in the agriculture, followed by accommodation, food service and activities at 16.6%. We can see that in general, wholesale and retail trade are the most important, in all cases at about 40% in all the regions. And then we also have manufacturing or the accommodation, food service activities to be the most important ones in all the cases. But agriculture also comes into place, as I mentioned in the picture, when we look at the employment as well. So these are the most important business segments for the island in all four regions. This is the gross value added, where here you can see that also in the case of gross value added, that the public administration defense, they also come into play, but still the wholesale retail trade are the ones that, let's say, generate the highest proportion of the gross value added within Chania or within Crete in this case. As we said before, trade is very important. And here, this is from another report that concentrates only on some large corporations. So we're looking at here at Societe Anonyme, so anonymous careers, and we're also looking at the LTD, so εταιρείες περιορισμένης ευθύνης. So here you can see that in this report, they mentioned that there were 97 corporations, trade corporations of this legal form, operating in Crete, compared to 3,184 in Greece. And we can see that the companies in Greece are doing well when we are looking at the change in their profits or the profits ratios that they have. The return on assets being at 5.6%, so for every 100 euros, they generate 5.6 in profits out of the total assets they have, or they generate for every 100 euros that the investors invest in the company, they generate roughly 14 euros for them, the Cretan companies. Switching back to Greece, because I don't have data for this for Crete alone, but it's important because this is from the European scoreboard and it shows what happens in Crete in relation to Europe. When you say these are normalized data relative to the performance of these indicators in Europe, when you will see the dark green, that means that we are doing much better than the EU, at 120% above the EU. The light green means that we are between 90 and 120 of the EU performance, and then when you see the yellow or the orange, then we are not doing well. One of the problems that we have, as you can see, has to do with intellectual property, with patents, with design applications, and so on. Another one has to do with the private funding of the public research and development. Other has to do with the venture capital availability that Maria mentioned before, or the R&D expenditures in the business sector, and so on. So we do have a number of problems, and I'm going to come back to one or two of them during my speech. Here is another, again for Greece in general, that shows the environment in which our firms have to operate. And the first figure that you can see, for example, the entrepreneurial finance, the 4.48, that shows what happens in Europe, the score for Europe, and the higher the score, the better it is. And you can see that in all the cases we are in a worse position than in Europe. So regardless of that has to do with R&D transfer, our score is 3.96, where the one of Europe is 4.20. When it has to do, I don't know, with the government policies, Europe scored 4.18 and we're at 3.25. So unfortunately, our companies have a lot of problems that they face, and the environment is not helpful at all. Now, here is a map from a report from the National Documentation Center. And here we can see this is from a survey out of nearly 14,000 Greek companies. As for whether they introduced between 2014 and 2017 at least one innovation. It could be innovation in terms of the products or services, or it could be innovation in terms of the marketing that they followed, or in terms of their organization. You can see that in total, 51% of the companies replied that they had introduced at least one, and this is they also run it for not only for Greece but for Europe as well, in cooperation, obviously, in other countries. You can see that 51% of the Greek companies replied that they introduced some kind of innovation. Crete overall is in the first position. So 58.4% of the Cretan companies between 2014 and 2014, they introduced one innovation. Greece overall ranks in the 12th position out of the 28 countries that took place in this one. Germany leads with 67% of the companies replying that they introduced one innovation. In EU 28, 49.1 of them introduced innovation. Romania is in the last position with only 12.8% of the companies. Then we disaggregate the data from the first one, and here is only for companies that introduced an innovation for products or services, okay? And then I'm going to show you what happens. We look at innovation in organization or in marketing. So here Crete falls in the 4th position, but still we're doing well. So 40.1% of the companies in Crete, they have introduced something new in terms of their products, an innovation in the products, or an innovation in the sales that they provide. Greece in total here at the 12th position again. Belgium is now the best ranked country with 52.9%. Romania again at the end with 6.5%. EU in general at 36.8%. So we're doing well here when we look at disaggregated data, and we go again at the first position, if I can remember correctly, yes, when we look at organizational innovation in the activities or innovation in terms of marketing, how to promote their products or something else that has to do with electronic e-commerce and things like that. So here Crete is again in a very good position. The companies agreed with 51.7% of them replying that they did something innovative. And here we rank at the 8th position in Europe with Luxembourg in the 1st place. Some of the data from the same report that out of the 1.6 billion euros that were as an expenditure in 2014 for innovation activities, they gave 62.5 out of this 1.6 billion in acquisition of machines, equipment, software, and buildings. 27.6 of that was in-house research and development, and all the innovation activities at 4.2, external R&D at 4, and so on. When it comes to the application for intellectual property rights, we see that registering a trademark is the one in top for the Greek companies, 16.1%. Only 3.3% filed for a patent, which is unfortunately rather low one, and industrial design at 3% or European utility model for 1.5%. Here you can see some data. On top we have the percentage of R&D expenditure in relation to the GDP. We can see that it rises from 0.67 in 2011 to 0.97 in 2015, but still we are not doing well, because in the euro area the percentage is 2.12, so considerably higher, and the EU 2.03, in Sweden 3.26, talking about 2015. Now, for 2013, that would have data at the regional level, we can see that Crete is in a very good position. 1.35 of the is being spent on R&D out of the GDP of Crete, of course, in this case. Okay, so the data here they show in each of the regions in Greece how they are doing the money that they spend on R&D relative to their own GDP. So Crete ranks as the first with 1.35 in Greece. Here we disaggregate the data before by where the funds for R&D come from. Are they from the business sector? Are they from the higher education sector? Are they from the government sector? And so on, or from the private non-profit sector. We can see that they spend a lot from the higher education sector spends a lot, and also the business enterprise they spend a lot of money here. Now, whenever we come to Crete, that's the third column. We can see that the vast majority of the funding comes from government sources and the higher education system. If I can remember correctly, only 6 millions out of the 125 to 130 millions in that year, only 6 were from the private sector. All the other was from government sources and money spent in the universities for research and development. So this is something that definitely has to be improved in a sense. Although the companies are doing well, I believe they're going to do much better if they're going to spend even more money on R&D, or if they're going to collaborate with the universities, which is another problem that we'll have and I'm going to mention in a minute. Here are some other data for this. This is the R&D personnel in relation to the total employment in the Greek regions. And you can see that taking into account how many there are in R&D relative to the total employment within each region, Crete ranks first. So we are at 1.89% of the R&D personnel in relation to the total employment in Crete. Okay? Relatively to the 1.20 that it is in Greece, or the 1.26, if I can see correctly, that it is for the EU28. So that means that we have a lot of specialized personnel that will be quite helpful for the companies. We can also see here that a picture that is, looks like the one we had before when we were looking at the expenditures. Here we are looking at the distribution of the R&D personnel, and obviously they are in the same parts that has to do with the government and the higher education sector where they are employed. Now, here are some data. The first one shows the data of the publications in relation to the R&D expenditures. So Crete here ranks in the 4th position in Greece, so it's doing still well. And if we look at the number of scientific publications per researcher, we can see that it's in the 3rd position. These are kind of quantitative data. If we can switch to qualitative data, we are doing even better. Because here we have publications in the top 10% of the journals ranked by their impact factors. Okay? So here we are looking at publications in high quality journals. So not only the quantity, but we are looking at the quality as well. And you can see that here, the researchers, they publish 13.3 out of their papers, they end up in some of the top journals. And again, this is a very good result, and we rank second in Greece. So, closing my presentation, this is something that I think that we have to address. I think it was mentioned before that there is no collaboration, or to the extent that it should be, between the universities and the industry. Out of the 14,000 companies that I mentioned before that took part in this survey by the Technical University the National Documentation Center, out of the 14,000, from the ones that introduced an innovation, so the 50% of the 14,000, so the 7,000 firms, out of them, about 10%, okay, so 700 companies, said that they collaborated with universities. Okay? So out of the 14,000 corporations, only 700 collaborated with the university that for research. If you're going to look at the World Economic Forum, the competitiveness report that they published, and we look at the most recent data here for 2017 or 18, if I can remember correctly, out of 137 companies that are being reported here, or they are included in the report, Greece ranks 129, with a score from 1 to 7, 7 being the better, 2.5. So we definitely have to improve this one here, and you can see that our colleagues from Norway, they have to tell us how to do it, because they rank 20, okay, and we rank 129. The score is 4.8. So we definitely have to learn a lot, and this is, I think, what they presented before during the presentation, that they said there is a close collaboration with the university. The companies go to the university, and we don't have this here. And it's not the data for Greece, but the same happens obviously in Crete. So we have to see how we can bring together the people from the industry and the students and the professors at the universities, because the thing is that if you will go down and see the availability of science and engineers, you can see that Greece ranks in place 10. Okay? So we definitely have the people that can do the work for the companies. Okay? If we rank as 10, they rank as 14, so we're both in a very good position. But then there is a huge gap on what happens with using this people, and putting them in a sense in working for corporation, generating innovation and generating and using this R&D in order to produce research results for the companies. So thank you very much for your attention. I don't know if there are any questions for any of the speakers or anything else you would like to ask. Any questions? Okay, I think that we have already delayed a bit, so we can close. We thank everyone for coming, especially our guests for Norway, all the speakers from the Embassy of Norway. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the rector that is here, the ex-rector, the previous rector that is here, the deputy directors, and everyone, thank you very much for coming here today. Thank you.